All right, welcome everyone. This is a work session of the board, and we'll begin at 6 p.m. Call this meeting to order and with a roll call.
Mrs. Jaranek?
Here.
Mrs. Mangan?
Here.
Dr. Swetchenow?
Here.
Mrs. Washburn?
Here.
Reverend Nyland?
Here. Thanks, everybody. We have an agenda before us, and so everyone's had a chance to review that. It isn't too long, so hopefully we won't be here till the wee hours of the morning today. Do we have a motion to approve our agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second. Oh, sorry. And now
Call, please.
Mrs. Jaranek?
Yes.
Mrs. Mangan?
Yes.
Dr. Swetchenow?
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn?
Yes.
Reverend Nyland?
Yes. Thank you. All right. And we have minutes from our last meeting that now feels like it was about 6 months ago.
It does feel like that.
Everyone had a chance to look at those. Any additions, corrections to the minutes as presented?
Nope.
We have a motion to approve that.
So moved. In second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Mangan?
Yes.
Dr. Swetchenow?
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn?
Yes.
Reverend Nyland?
Yes.
Mrs. Jaranek?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so we will move right in then to our discussion topics. We'll begin with superintendent.
All right, good evening. First thing I would mention is there is a foundation kickoff August 10th, this coming weekend. It's from 4 to 6, I believe. And it is on the website or the foundation website, which is Loveland Foundation.
Schools Foundation.
Loveland Schools Foundation, where that information would be found, so I would encourage everybody to go. We've asked our administrators if they can make it. It would be great to see them. Second thing I have, President Eilert, Vice President Mangan, when we met last week, you asked me to report out on the science of reading. The science of reading, we have 114 teachers have completed. We have about 250 teachers, so we're about halfway there. And we have turned it into the state. We're still tweaking some of the information that they have requested, and but that should be done this week, and hopefully we get reimbursed quickly with the science of reading. The other thing I wanted to mention was I did meet with Sharon Scovaner, did come to the last board meeting and discuss the water in Loveland and the issue with that. So I met with her along with Mr. Ames, and moving forward asked Mr. Ames to do a inventory of all of our water fountains. We thought we would start with water fountains to see what we can do for the kids drinking the water in school. And so I have asked our new Director of Business Operations to kind of give us an update on where we are with filtering the water or getting new stations.
Evaluated everything that we have. Any system that's not Oasis will be flipped over to the new system, and then the old water fountain systems will be retrofitted so that they provide the appropriate quality of water to all of our kiddos in the buildings.
Excellent.
So purchase orders in place. The work has not started yet. We're going to get everything in, and then we're going to, based on the amount of the work that's done, we're going to have someone do that work for us.
And is that going to be done before school starts?
We
Is that
are
the intention?
working as quickly as we can.
Okay.
So
Some of the issue, Oasis is the manufacturer of
Sure.
the stations. Some of the issue is those filters aren't even really
Produced yet.
produced, yeah, and so
Oh,
because
okay.
it's kind of a different deal. So I don't know what the time, I know Rich will push on them to get it here, but in meeting with Mrs. Scovaner, I did follow up with Mrs. Scovaner with an email. She was pretty pleased with that. Obviously, there's other things that we can take a look at, but this would be the most immediate thing that we would take a look at for the kids. And we'll have the principals let teachers and the students know that it's being looked at, and hopefully it gets done quickly. So with that, any questions on anything that was presented? All right, we're looking forward to welcoming teachers and students back. Teachers, August 13th is our convocation at the high school at 8 o'clock. You are all invited if you would like to attend. President Eilert will say a few words, and then Garth will go through and recognize our staff for the years of service and some other good stuff. So you are more than welcome to attend. But so ends
I'll
my
be leading a
discussion.
board cheer, so I hope you want to.
I feel so at home.
Any questions for Mr. Broadwater?
You feel ready for the start?
We're ready to go.
Excited?
Yeah, we're excited. We got a lot of good news about our report card back. We had a great year last year. Message really is let's keep doing what we're doing, be consistent, and we got a few, the focus I would have is our career pathways and mental health. And that's what our community has told us in our community meetings, so we're going to take a look at that. Learning pathways, Brian Lee is off to a start here, learning what his new job is and trying to help kids, and with the mental health. The board probably remembers we're able to, with some switching of personnel, we're able to have full-time school psychs in every building, and we're pretty excited about that. So we've added some mental health supports, so without adding staff, and some more ELL supports without adding staff, just rearranging. So I'm pretty excited. It's nice to be talking school and education.
I'll just give a shout out to, I don't know exactly who the ELL teachers are, but some kids that are going into first grade that this time last year, if I would have asked them, are you excited for first grade, they would have responded in their, maybe not known how to respond to me, and responded back to me in perfect English about how excited they were for
Yeah.
first. So that was, like, I don't know what I expected, but it
Yeah.
was really great.
You know, the one thing I would brag on a little bit with our staff is, remember the report card right now, we're looking at 5 stars in all 5 categories and over all 5. So there may only be a handful of schools again in the state of Ohio that do that. If you remember last year, we actually had a 4 in early literacy, and we focused on that with our adding the reading intervention specialists with some of the COVID money, and then the board allowed us to maintain those positions, and we bumped that up to a 5. So I'm pretty proud of the staff for doing that. That's a big deal. That's why we're here.
It's great, it's awesome.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, item 3.1 is the approval of our cell phone policy. You remember we presented that at the last meeting as sort of a first reading of that policy, and wanted to then be able to approve that policy at this meeting so that it's in place in time for the beginning of the school year. And it also comes with plans to continue the discussion throughout the year and be intentional during this year about talking with students, with parents, with administrators and teachers about how to best implement the policy, and if there are additional steps that would be helpful moving forward after this year, or even during this year if something would arise. So this is an initial policy that we're looking at, and then we'll again revisit it at some point. But Mike, do you want to say more about process and where we stand at this point?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is there really is not much of a change other at the high school. The assumption is cell phones will be put away in the classroom unless the teacher allows it. But the bigger thing is, moving forward, we've got this policy, but the only way cell phone policies are going to work is if the community and the kids are involved in what those decisions are. And so I think it's important this year to get our community in and see what they think. See, cell phones aren't going away, and technology's here. We've got an AI committee, so there's a lot of things working. We all would agree probably that technology does do some things for mental health, good or bad, and maybe examining that. But in my opinion, the way it's a sustainable policy is making sure our parents and our students understand the whys as to where we're going with it.
Great. You all had a chance to review this. Is there further discussion, comments from board members about the policy as presented?
Is I assume the progressive discipline is in the handbook in each building, and then there's some flexibility in there.
Right, so each building, what we wanted to allow is each building to kind of develop with their staff what that looks like and see what works for them. The middle school, really the cell phones start to bubble up at middle school, right, for the most part. Middle school and then the high school. The middle school had this policy in place last year. Talking to the administration, they felt like it worked pretty well, where the kids were only had to be in the backpack, out of the classroom, could only be pulled out at lunchtime, and they felt that worked pretty well. Whereas at the high school, they can have it in the hallway, in the lunchroom, but not in class. So the progressive discipline will let the administrators determine. To me, if we're telling kids you're not using the cell phone and they take one out in the classroom, then you've got insubordination. It's not about cell phones, it's about listening, it's about behavior. So, yep.
Any other questions, comments on the policy?
I think it looks pretty straightforward.
Should be easy, huh?
Try that out of your hands.
Can't wait to get our AI one out there.
Yeah, right.
Well, then, do we have a motion to approve the policy as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Swetchnow?
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn?
Yes.
Reverend Eilert?
Yes?
Mrs. Jarenick?
Yes.
Mrs. Mangan?
Yes.
Thank you. Policy is approved. Next on our agenda is the esteemed Director of Human Resources. Garth, what would you like to share with us tonight?
First, right off the bat, I know we were kind of given an academic highlight of being, that we got the switch of having all fives and a 5 overall academically. Staffing-wise, here in Loveland, the puzzle of summertime staffing is always a little tricky. However, we, working in Loveland and with teachers wanting to work here, issues with teacher shortages and things like that, we get to work with really great kids in a great community. So for the most part, people want to be working here, which helps us a bunch. And that credit goes to our staff and to our community. So, and then in addition to that, one major worry that we had kind of coming into the year, if you guys remember, we talk about this a bunch, but it's transportation and finding bus drivers. And I'm really pleased to report that we are in a position to where we are in a better staffing position for bus drivers starting this school year than we were last school year. And on the agenda tonight, you're going to see that there are 3 drivers being approved tonight, and there are a couple of more that are going to be on our next agenda. We had a pretty successful kind of a campaign trying to get the word out there about needing bus drivers. And we found some success, and I'm really, really pleased about that because it was a really major worry that we had as a district. So I would say that's the biggest highlight that I've got, is to make sure to draw everybody's attention to that section, which is in section E2 for those 3 bus drivers. And that's not taking anything away from any of our new staff and the positions that we're in. We're adding, not adding, but we had to fill a position for a high school intervention specialist position. Intervention specialist positions in general are tough to fill. High school intervention specialists are even more difficult to fill. So you'll notice here, we've had discussions about, making sure that we want to be fiscally responsible with our money, but there are certain positions at certain times when we might have to offer to bring folks in, not at a very beginning level. So you'll notice that we have an intervention specialist for LHS coming in at step 10, but we feel like it is something that was needed and the right fit for us. So I have heard over from a bunch of our board members talking about, hey, we have to be fiscally responsible, we also have to do right by our kids and our staff. And I feel like I've been trying to walk that balance. And this is a case where there are 2 teachers on new certified staff members here. One we were able to bring in with less experience, and then another position where there was more experience, and those things kind of balance out for us. So just for you guys to know that it's not just a one mindset, that the bigger picture is being kept in mind here as well.
Garth, you had the savings document attached, correct? So that.
Yeah, the savings document is in the administrative section for the board members to see. And we're still in a positive situation for that over $130,000, so.
And that's including the ESSER positions that we added, so really it
That's
would be
correct.
an even greater savings.
Yep.
If we hadn't taken that step, which we feel is so important.
That's correct. Yeah, so
On those
even with
positions.
taking on those 7.5 FTEs, 5 aides and 2.5 reading teachers, we're still in a positive spot there. And it has been really great working with, of course, Mike, but also with John, because this is our first summer being able to work with one another, of us balancing the idea of being responsible with our money, but also making sure that we're doing the things that we need to do, and working with John's been great, so.
And to throw out, and Garth would echo this, our principals have done a great job of accepting the fact that they have some requirements when it comes to hiring. And when it comes to the special education, that's where some of the experience pays off in the classroom. And Garth's done a great job, and because of his relationships with our principals, they've done a great job as well. So kudos to everybody.
Garth, wasn't there a middle school science teacher on here originally?
There was, but she was actually on the agenda for last month. It
Okay,
was a
all right,
repeat,
okay, good.
So
good,
it was taken
okay,
off.
all right, I was just making sure we
I'm
didn't
glad
lose
that
that
you're
person,
noting it.
yeah. I was like, where is that
Garth
person?
was
Yeah.
checking to see if any of the board members read.
I don't know why I remembered it, but I do.
You got half of them right. The other thing that was on there, which is no longer on there from when this was first given for you guys to look over, there was a section of resident educator mentors. That list is still, I'm working with Mr. Hartman on that list.
Okay.
And we had it in there of what we were thought, and then there were some changes made, so I pulled it off this agenda, and it'll be on the next.
I noticed that one, Garth. I was gonna ask you about it after.
Combined 100%. Good work. But those were the two things. What Ms. Mangan just mentioned, which was a third teacher, but that middle school teacher, Christina Stanton Lee, was already approved in June, when Reverend Eilert made the comment about my bald head that I was listening. And I'm obviously able to answer any questions you have about this month's, and again, we're of course having another meeting in August. I hadn't been able to get things on the agenda. We didn't have a July meeting, and I know that we're trying to keep things off of the agenda for the work sessions, but this seemed like getting school started, we wanted to go ahead and get things on here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. Any other questions for Garth?
Why
We
does
spoke before.
Why does anybody read his reports before the last minute?
And I did misspeak before. I should have said our esteemed assistant superintendent.
Oh, that's right.
Well, that's okay. I've been called way worse, so.
Oh, you mean Garth?
All right, do we have a motion to approve the report?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Washburn,
Yes.
Reverend Eilert,
Yes.
Mrs. Jernick,
Yes.
Mrs. Mangan,
Yes.
Dr. Switzer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else from you, Garth?
Yes, got a couple more items. This 4.2, we had a yearbook trip that we had some students at the high school take with our yearbook advisor. You can see on here that that trip has actually already happened. We didn't get this request and we didn't get this information in prior to. I apologize for that. We're going to make sure to close that loop. We had the yearbook advisor used to be someone who stepped away. They retired, and so this was the first year for the person doing it now. And we're squared away. Their trip was successful. Everything was fine. But we want to make a habit of always bringing these things to you guys. And even though this one happened in July, we didn't have a meeting until now. Just wanted to make sure to bring it to your attention and apologize for the fact that it wasn't brought before this group before they made their trip.
I think we should all vote no.
In the policy, it does allow the superintendent or designee to okay it, but I feel better making sure that we have it okayed before they go, so we'll tighten it up.
I like to see what they learned, like what they're brought back.
Yeah.
It'd be neat to see if they put a little slideshow or something together.
Okay.
What they did, just to see what, because
Yeah,
I've never
you
heard of
understand.
the conference, so it's neat that there is something like that.
Yeah, just saw
I've
this
attended
year's
them.
yearbook.
I did too.
It's-
You have attended?
I have.
Oh, okay.
It's an impressive yearbook. They
Yeah,
do an
yeah.
amazing job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I just was looking through it too. It's pretty incredible.
Do we have a motion to retroactively approve the
So moved. Second.
overnight extended field trip? Roll call, please.
Reverend Eilert,
Yes.
Mrs. Jernick,
Yes.
Mrs. Mangan,
Yes.
Dr. Swetchno?
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
The next item, 4.3, is some work that we've been doing over the summer. Of course, you guys are all aware that we transitioned with Mr. Ames, who, of course, we want to thank him for all of his years of service of being the business manager here. And we're transitioning to the position of Director of Business Operations. The job description for that, we wanted to take a look and update it, because some of the things that Mr. Ames was doing are still things that Rich is going to be doing as well, but there are also some things that were added to that position, and we wanted to make sure that the job description was indicating that as well. And then the position that we have that Mr. Broadwater was talking about earlier, with Mr. Brian Lee coming and joining our team, fine tuning what it is that job description is going to entail, and some of the things that were already mentioned, those pathway pieces and some mental health pieces. You'll notice if you look in that job description, those are mentioned in there as well. So we just wanted to bring forward to the board these two newly looked at job descriptions to best kind of capture what the work of these individuals are going to be doing.
Any questions, comments on the job descriptions as presented?
We made sure to highlight other duties as assigned for Mr. Bryant, so we made sure that he realized
Yeah, I
that.
was gonna say, you wanna look at this one more time before we approve our pitch? There's a lot of expectations there.
Mr. Bryant was out power washing the sign this Saturday and Sunday, and doing some mulching, so
I think we add those two.
the other
yes.
duties, he's already got a head start on.
I have pictures if anyone wants.
In all seriousness, something that Rich brings to the table, and something that we know is a really valuable asset, is all of his experience with working with district safety. He, as the athletic director, was helping us lead some of those things. He is now going to be our district leader with that. And you guys will be able to see that the different things that he talks about and brings forward when it has to do with district safety, we are in good hands. He has vast experience in it, and he has lots of really great ideas of things for us to keep in mind to keep all of our staff and students safe. So we're glad to have Mr. Bryant being on our team.
Excellent. Nothing more important than keeping our kids safe.
For sure.
That's great. All right, do we have a motion to approve these job descriptions as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jernick?
Yes.
Mrs. Mangan?
Yes.
Dr. Swetchno?
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn?
Yes.
Reverend Eilert?
Yes.
And I have one more thing, and then I will be finished. Section 4.4 is to approve the changes to the administrative handbook. The only changes that were made is where it listed business manager. That has been removed, and director of business operations is in its place. And then the addition of the director of learning pathways. Those two same positions that we were talking about with the job descriptions, making sure that the handbook has those positions listed in it, and those were the two things that were changed.
All right. We have a motion to approve the adoption of the updated handbook.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Mangan?
Yes.
Dr. Swetchno?
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn?
Yes.
Reverend Eilert?
Yes.
Mrs. Jernick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. All right, moving on to our treasurer report.
Thank you, Reverend Eilert, members of the board. This is just a standard reports for the month of June. Do have some stats for you. 0.9% variance on expenditures to the forecast for 99.1% accuracy. 0.3% variance on the revenue for 99.7% accuracy to the forecast. So.
What's wrong with you?
Very good shape. I'll be better next time.
Darth, what's your variance on FTEs this month?
So we're in good shape there. We're in good shape there. I'll
Around
report-
99.3.
we're in good shape there. I'll report more at the next meeting, and you'll also see the July report. So
Great.
since we've gone a month, or over a month, I just figured we'd break them up between the two meetings. Also, you'll notice in this set of reports is the commercial paper acceptance reports. That's part of Ohio Revised Code. Those are the short-term holdings that we have that you see reported on the Red Tree statement that you receive monthly within the reports, but this is one that we used to have to do every year.
Good job. Close going well? Year-end close going well? We done?
It's done.
It's done?
Yeah, we balanced and closed within, I think it was August, or we were only like a couple days into July. Sorry, I'm already thinking about July closing, so that was done on August 1st, I believe.
Okay.
So,
Very good.
All right, any other questions on the treasurer's report?
Thank you.
We need a motion to accept the financial reports as presented.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
roll call, please.
Dr. Switchenow,
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn,
Yes.
Reverend Eilert,
Yes,
Mrs. Jernick,
Yes.
Mrs. Megan.
Yes.
thank you. One other thing I was just thinking of as John was talking, just remind board members, OSBA conference will be coming up right before we know it this fall. And so people will be thinking about that and whether or not you are able to attend. So that we can-
Do we have dates for that?
10th
You put
through
it
the
on your
13th,
calendar.
I didn't say because I can now cross-check it with my.
I believe it's the
colleague.
10th through the 13th.
I had it through the 12th.
I had it pulled up today. Maybe that might be accurate. It is the 10th to the 12th, Sunday through Tuesday.
I would like to go.
I'll be there.
Sold.
Eric's going so he can be our,
That's right.
That's right.
I can't wait to.
I'm
John
only going if
knows how
Eric
great that
goes
was.
and agrees to be the
So-
representative.
If you could just let me know sooner than later, because it's, as you can imagine, it's crazy trying to book all the accommodations, so.
do you want it in an email or you're good with?
I have,
Just telling you now.
I have 3 of you. Are all 5 planning on going?
I can go. I mean, do you want all of us there, or do you?
It's beneficial,
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
so many
There's some
different
good work.
sessions.
Yeah.
We'll be doing,
Split up better at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
we are presenting in a session on our strategic vision, some different things. And so, yeah. think
Yeah,
it's
I
great.
can go.
All right.
Dan, Mike. Also, our students will be there on Monday.
That's right.
Oh,
Right.
wonderful.
Oh, nice, okay, great.
The
Yeah,
students.
it's awesome. Nice.
Okay, got it.
Great. Anything, this work session, we should just be able to ask if there's anything else people want to talk about, right? Anything that,
I would throw out just an update on the state funding committee for John and I, and then Lynn and Jonathan. August 21st, we are scheduled to go up to the BASA offices in Columbus. We have received, I think there's about 20 districts that are interested in going. Some are extremely interested because they're districts just like us. So it'll be a good conversation. There's also a Zoom link so they can, other districts that can't go to Columbus can get on there. If other board members would like the Zoom link, I could give that to you. I think it's going to be in the morning. I can't remember the time, but I can
On the
forward it.
21st, you said?
Yeah. And we'll see, John came up with a really good idea in terms of maybe a small toe in the water that the state of Ohio could help us with the cost of living adjustment on the guarantee, which really would not push a levy for us too far, but would certainly help our taxpayers and their burden. And we could at least, the amount of input and the amount of impact we've had in such a short time, I'm a little surprised by, to be honest with you. We got some groups a little fired up at us, which is okay, and we've got some other groups that are fired up with us because their communities are going through the same thing. So I'm excited to see where it goes. We want to try and make sure that we're respectful of other groups that are doing the same thing, but also represent our community. So we're gonna work on that 21st. I don't know if you have anything else you want to throw in, John?
Kind of along the same vein, I'm presenting to several board members on Thursday across the state, talking about the 20 mil floor that some districts find themselves on, also the guarantee, and then also revenues based off of property valuation increases. So that's going to be interesting. There are some districts that are in our subgroup that are going to be there too. So I'm kind of hoping that there's some good conversation on that. And other than that, I mean, it's been business as usual over the summer. I'm going to detail some things, innovations that we were able to put in at the next board meeting.
That's great.
Our community advisory team, we were setting dates, we'd get dates set, we've sent out invites to individuals that we think would be valuable and get their input. I think we're up to about 55 or 60.
60 or 65 people that have expressed interest.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've got some of the same people that were on the state funding committee on that committee so that they can present to the CAT team what the state funding committee talked about a little bit. I think it can be better received when you have community members talking to community members and educating each other about how the state funding works, but obviously we'll be there. And then we are setting up, I will be having stakeholder meetings, John Espy and myself, with different factions among the community. So we talked about doing the clergy one month we'll reach out to, and then city managers and so forth. And so just having them come in, have a lunch, talk, maybe do a quick little presentation about what's going on in the district. Just keep building the relationships and make sure everybody has an idea what we're doing. I'm just kind of hodgepodge in here. It's kind of nice to be able to talk to the board. We have, if you notice over at LECC, I worked with the city manager, Dave Kennedy. We allowed our LECC parking lot to be the drop-down area for the sidewalk construction. Was out talking to the manager this morning, who was doing the project, told him we probably got to get that wrapped up. We got the kids coming. And called David Kennedy, super receptive. So that'll be up. They're going to come over and power wash it, and Rich is going to work. Chris, what's Chris's last? Wozniak?
You nailed it.
Yeah, Chris Wozniak has been great. The city's been great working with us, but we'll make sure we get that cleaned up. So if anybody had any concerns, I think we're on top of that, that project.
I would just thank all of the staff, because that's the report card. I know we don't have the final data yet, but getting straight 5s on everything and pulling the early literacy up to a 5 is tremendous. It's been something we've been working on for a long time, so really, really pleased to see that. So a big congrats to the staff.
Shows exciting.
Yeah, it's really good. And then I'll just put another plug in for the school foundation open house. We want all that, we'd love for people to come. So, and we're gonna talk to the staff at Convocation about it too. So would love as many people in the community as possible coming on Saturday. That'd be great.
Just let the board know too, begun the process for reviews for both superintendent and treasurer. Mike's already sent over his goals from this last year. Lynn and I are going to meet with him following our planning meeting for the agenda next month, and then subsequently we'll do that with John coming month or two, and then we'll bring that information to all of you together as the board.
Sounds good. All right.
Anything else?
Let's get the year started.
Great. All right, we have a motion then to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned at 6:34 PM.